What's going on, guys? We're going to have another reality chat about the Real Housewives of Potomac. This is about the finale, the final of the 3-part reunion. And this episode, I actually was going to name it something else before I got some other news recently. And it was going to be Monique's contract has been extended, but would she rather have fame or family? But before I recorded it, I learned that she quit the Real Housewives of Potomac. And for most of us who are privy to the way they do things on the Real Housewives franchises, they typically don't fire anyone except mainly Phaedra from the Real Housewives of Atlanta, because that was just another crazy situation with accusations about possible drugging people and you know, just claims that were like crazy against Kandi. But what they will typically do is say, offer you a contract, maybe you can be a friend of the show, or you won't have as many episodes and you're paid per episode, so it's up to you whether you want to accept it or not. But they typically just don't fire you unless maybe you were somebody who were a newbie on the show and it just didn't work out and they just didn't offer you anything at all. But either way, it's not really a firing. Well, it came out recently that Monique quit. And what I believe happened is that her contract wasn't something that she saw as worth it for her. So she decided to decline it, meaning that she quit rather than she was fired. But that is, that's pretty much their way of saying, we don't really want you around anymore, but we're just going to offer you something and see if you're going to bite. All right, I wanted to talk about this, and what I was going to say was that with all of the things that have come out from her former friend Gigi, I guess former best friend, and the accusations that have been made, here's the thing, guys. Like I've said before, I'm not team anybody on here. I don't understand all of the people who just go so hard for some of these people like, they know them personally. But after just seeing everything, and I've made my comments about Chris and Monique and how Chris is a stand-up guy and standing up for his wife. I do respect a husband standing up for their wife. We've seen on these shows where you don't have that like strong husband that really stands up for their wife, or even a lot of times you will see where these so-called housewives are not even married and don't have a husband. So the name housewife is just, it really is just an analogy, but it doesn't really make any sense for what they really are. Anyway, after all of the things that have come out, and then especially on this most recent episode, this final episode, and just seeing the way Chris conducted himself in a part of this reunion, I was cringing. And you guys know sometimes I cringe a good bit, but when I see something that's just like, oh my God, I cringe. And his behavior, whether people feel like he was justified in doing it or not, I just don't agree with it. You cannot be this big, tall, strapping guy and say things like, if the right things aren't said, I'm going to tear, there's going to be some things torn up on the set, and, making comments about how, even though he didn't do it on the stage, but he did it in the live video where he talks about he wished he was Bruce Jenner, or he could turn into a woman so he could slap the dog mess out of people, and just, you can't make statements like that. And then Monique agreeing with it, saying, basically like, yeah, that's right, he'll do it. He did it for a living. So trust me when I say he can do that. Just so many things that were revealed about the relationship, and whether people believe that Gigi is a liar or not. I don't believe that Gigi is 100% lying. I just don't. Could she be jealous of the relationship that Monique has with her husband? Possibly. Could she be jealous of the status that Monique has and the platform that she has now and the fame that she's gotten from the show? Absolutely could be. But does that mean that makes her a 100% liar about the things that were disclosed about Monique and the trainer? Not necessarily. I didn't hear the woman claim that Monique actually slept with the trainer, but she said it was some inappropriate things going on, I believe. Also, of the mindset that just based on the actions that I have seen of Monique over the past few seasons, going back to when she was drinking a good bit. She was drinking a good bit. She brought bottles of wine on the girls' trip that they had. She crashed the car into a tree. She claimed she fell asleep. I said this before, that we already know that alcohol makes you sleepy. So you fell asleep behind the wheel because you had too much to drink, period. And I don't believe that that was a lie when Ashley said it. She said that they were out at lunch and she had a few Moscow mules, and, you know, she was, and Monique got upset with Ashley about that. And she said, you know, Ashley was alleging that I was driving drunk. Listen, you put two and two together, whether you were like sloshed completely behind the wheel or you just had one too many, it happens. I'm not saying it's okay, but it happens. And Monique has proven just from that situation, and the police didn't come out to the scene. She called her husband and he had someone, because she crashed into a tree, he had someone come out and tow the vehicle to the house. Whereas if you and I, you know, just us everyday regular people, if that happened to us and we drove away from that, or not even drove away, but we had just had a car, a tow truck just come and tow the car and take it to our house, that is actually illegal. You're not supposed to do that. That was an accident. You're supposed to have the police come out to the scene of the accident if they deem that you should have a either drug test performed or a breathalyzer test done to make sure that you were not under the influence. They have the right to request you to have done. You can decline it and also be arrested and then fight it out in court. But from that time, I said it before and I'll continue to say it, Monique did not take personal accountability for that situation where you actually did have too much to drink, and you showed us that throughout that season where you were drinking a lot. I'm not saying that she was an alcoholic or that she is an alcoholic, but I believe she had too much to drink. And I do believe that she was probably going through some things in her personal life situations where it involved her husband. She and her husband's mother or mother-in-law, we'll call her, were not on good terms. She had also admitted at the first reunion that she was involved in, where she and her mother-in-law, they, it wasn't like a fight, but the mother-in-law said some things and called her a heifer and said, like, didn't I get that heifer together? It was revealed at the reunion that Chris hasn't spoken to his mother since that happened. Now, some people were like, more power to him. He's not a mama's boy or whatever. I even said that I understand it because there are a lot of times when the mothers of the sons that they have will not like anybody that their sons are with, even if they are like the first lady to be elected to a Senate seat or whatever. Like, nobody would ever be good enough for their baby. And she kind of struck me as somebody like that. But even with that being said, to not have this man speak to his mom at all, I do believe that she had a lot to do with that. I don't have any proof, but that is just my opinion. So there probably was a lot of tension involved with that, because she may have, they say you got the power of the P, and you know what I mean. So also, he has shown over the past few seasons that he is determined to have the family that he wants to have. And even though Monique puts a big front on for us, I believe it's a front, and a big smile on her face and acting like it's just one big happy family and she loves being pregnant and loves having all the kids, to go from being somebody who she claimed used to be in a rap group to now being a house mom, a stay-at-home mom, popping out the babies, every few years, whether she really wants to have the kids or not. I don't think that's a really pleasant place to be in. And she can make it seem like she is just 100% happy, but I do believe that there are issues where that is involved. And listen, every marriage goes through stuff, so I don't even want to say I'm speculating with that. I believe that to be the truth, just based on some of the statements that she has made. She talked about before she was pregnant with the baby that they just had. I think she was giving the daughter a bath, who was at the time the youngest child. And, Monique made comments about, I'm just like tired, and I don't, I think we're good on our families, family unit, our family size. And Chris pretty much said the opposite, said, no, we can have more kids. But he's not the one that has to get pregnant. He's not the one that has to carry the baby. He's paying for it all. Of course he is. But is that the life that she really wants in terms of being a mother to a bunch of kids? Of course she wants the lifestyle that he affords her. And again, guys, don't think that I'm saying that she's a gold digger, because I am not. But does she really want to live that type of life? Is that what she really wanted? I don't really think that it is. So I do believe that the outlet for her was the previous seasons, the drinking more heavily that we saw on camera. And people can say, oh, they edited it to look that way. They can't edit what you don't give them. And that is what she gave. She gave bringing the extra bottles of the wine that she said she loves to drink to the trip that they were on. So it made her, gave her the appearance of looking like a wino. She crashed her Bentley into a tree after she had lunch and drinks with Ashley. And Ashley, even though she is messy, I don't believe that she is always outright lying. And I do believe Ashley when she said that Monique had too much to drink. She was kicking back the Moscow Mules. And so Monique took offense to that, and she did not take personal accountability, and she got upset with Ashley. They had a little rift in their relationship for a minute with that, but they decided to come back together, and they're now friends again because, of course, Ashley is in a messed up, ridiculous relationship. So they probably have a lot of things in common when it comes to being in a marriage where they're not 100% happy. I'm just being real. And they also are mothers to new babies as well. So they also have that in common. And now the situation where the rumors about the trainer, I do believe, again, like I said, where there is smoke, there's possibly been a fire. Even if it wasn't a blazing, raging fire, it may have been a little short, small fire that somebody was, able to put out. So I don't want to say that she was committing adultery, but I do believe that she probably was inappropriate with the trainer. And honestly, the inappropriateness can be sending text messages back and forth with the trainer when it wasn't just about scheduling an appointment for training and the husband didn't know about it. And just getting, like Giselle said, even though I don't care for Giselle, getting a little bit too close for comfort. And that is actually what Giselle said. She said the rumors are that Monique and her trainer were getting a little bit too close for comfort, and they were seen around town a lot, spending a lot of time together, and Monique's husband found out about it and was not happy about it. I do believe that. I don't believe that Giselle made that up out of her ass. I just don't. Even though I believe that the relationship that she says that she has with Jamal Bryant is not 100% real, I don't believe that Giselle made that up. I do believe that that was something that people saw and people questioned. Even, like I said, even if Monique was not having a relationship, so to speak, with the guy or committing adultery with the guy, just doing that, hanging out with the guy, and your husband doesn't know that you're with him. Like, what are you hanging out with this guy for? And when you saw, or if you saw the picture of the trainer in comparison to her husband, I'm not saying that he looks better than him, but it's definitely different. And when people are going through stuff, and Monique said it on this season, she said, I really wish my husband was just more supportive of me and just really cared more about how my day was and what I was doing. She said it with a laugh and with, a gesture and smiling, but I do believe that that was more serious than what she let on, because I don't believe that she wanted to show any cracks in her relationship. And that's my point. Is it worth it to lose your family over the fame? We've seen so many of these relationships crumble and fall being on these shows. And I'm not saying the shows caused it, but when you don't address the leaks and the cracks and the issues in your relationship, then all the show is going to do is expose it. expose what already exists. And so I feel like it's for her benefit to not be on this show anymore. Because even with that podcast thing, here's what I didn't understand. You have hundreds of thousands of followers at this point. Why in the world, like what business acumen do you have where you would spend over $20,000 for the launch of a podcast? When I've said this before as well, it really doesn't cost much of anything to launch a podcast. And when you have that type of platform, she should have had people paying her to be sponsors for her podcast versus her paying all of this money for it. So, I mean, even with that, he invested all of that money. He's paying for everything and then she's wasting it, draining it. I don't wish for anybody's relationship to falter. I do believe in marriages. I do believe in healthy relationships, and I don't want to see anybody's, fail. I would hope that they are able to take this time away from being on the show to work on their relationship. Now, I mean, I didn't feel it when they were embracing at the end of the show. I felt like that was more for show. I wouldn't have, I wouldn't have said what Giselle said, where she was like, oh, Jesus, the fake tears. But I do believe that that was a little bit of a put on, because I'm like, Chris, really? I'm crying sometimes when you realize the strength of your wife. I felt like that was far-fetched, and it was a nice little statement, but I just don't believe that that is real. He's one of those old Southern types. It's very traditional. I just didn't believe that statement. I felt like that was just like a put on and a like, here's what we'll show you guys. You tried to break up our relationship. You tried to bring my family down. You tried to say that my baby isn't mine, which again, I didn't hear anybody say that. That's something that they brought up. It was like, take that. And it's like, these people don't want to see her relationship, go on the skids. I do believe that there may be some elements of jealousy there. And like I said, I do believe that there is an element of jealousy when it comes to Giselle and their relationship and Monique, because Monique has a lot of the things possession-wise and relationship-wise that she feels like she should have had at this point in time in her life that she doesn't. But do I believe that Monique should have been able to continue to be on this show? I really don't. I don't. I didn't even agree that Portia should have continued to be on the Real Housewives of Atlanta continually after what she did. Even though she did apologize, I felt like they should have given her a season off and maybe brought her back. But I mean, they never did that. And she kind of grew worse over time. She's a little bit different now, but I felt like with them not giving her a timeout, it went to her head. And so she just kind of became more self-absorbed, more airheadish, and more just about me and whatever. But now that she's doing the protesting thing or whatever, she's done the protesting thing, and I do believe that is genuine and heartfelt. It's put her in a little bit of a different light, and maybe also, a state of mind also now that because she is a mother, she's feeling things differently and seeing things differently. But when it comes to the Real Housewives of Potomac, I get it. She made for a lot of views, for this season of the Real Housewives of Potomac. And I know a lot of people are just Team Monique. I'm not against her, but for the sake of her family and her marriage, I didn't feel like she needed to continue to be on there. So when I heard that she so-called quit, which again, I feel like they let her go, so they just offered her a crappy contract that she was just like, no, it's not worth it for me to do this for that. I felt like, honestly, for any amount, she should have just sat it out, because I felt like if she did continue, the next season, they were going to go harder on her, and they were going to try to expose even more of what is existing relationship-wise in her marriage. I don't think they would have tried to come for the baby or try to, make any insinuations about that. But in terms of the marriage and that relationship, I do believe they were going to try to come for that. And I just didn't feel like that was worth it. Like, is that fame worth it more than your family? So I hope that she gets that. And I also hope, even though she's probably going to utilize the time not being on the Real Housewives of Potomac any longer to try to expand her brand even more, but we know how that works a lot of times. You may have some, continuance of existence online where people continue to follow you and continue to be interested in you for some period of time. But a lot of times when you're gone for a period of time, then you eventually do become forgotten. But if she would be choosing fame over family, I would think there would be something wrong with that. But obviously at one point in time, she did want the fame because she was in a rap group that she was pursuing a career to be in the industry for. So that's what she did eventually want. So I hope they can really work out the issues in their relationship and in their marriage. They really need that. So guys, those are just my thoughts on this situation. Please let me know what you think. And thank you so much for liking, commenting, and subscribing. And until the next video, I'm just being beautifully honest.